Hello and welcome, my name is Lil Sun, and today we're going to get into the top 10 tips to help you win at Multiversus. But first, I would like to ask you two things. Thing one is, please follow me on Twitter. I'm very active on there, and the more support I have on Twitter, the more kind of outreach I can get to the rest of the community who aren't on YouTube watching videos. And two, make sure to sub to my YouTube channel. Only 5% of you subscribed, 95% of you aren't subscribed, and I know it's a new game, and that is why I'm trying to get a lot of Multiversus followers. Anyway, let's get into it, and hopefully we can get you winning more games with these 10 tips. These work for all characters at all skill levels, unless you already know the tip, of course. Anyway, let's get into it. Hello and welcome. How are you doing, guys? Today we're going through the top 10 tips to get you to win games, and we'll get through this nice and quickly, and I'll explain the tips just as much as you guys need. I'm not going to go over too much. So tip number one is about cooldowns. Use your cooldowns. Use all of your cooldowns. Make sure of having all your good moves on cooldown as much as you possibly can. You don't want to be wasting your good moves and just letting them sit there. For example, characters like this is Wonder Woman, who you want that lasso to be in cooldown almost all the time, and you want to use it as much as possible. Same with Velma, Harley Quinn, Arya. Like there's a bunch. Almost every character in the game has cooldowns, and normally they have a cooldown because that's a very, very good move. Like Tom and Jerry even. So make sure you use all your good moves and you keep them on cooldown and use them. You don't have to spam them, but a lot of the times the really good moves will have a cooldown for a reason. So you want to make sure to utilize that. And some characters have cooldowns which are going to get tweaked because they need to be shorter or longer, and obviously they're going to balance around the player using it as much as possible and as much as they need. So that is tip one. Let's get into tip two. So let's get into these tips. Tip number 1 of 10 is always use your cooldowns and make sure all your cooldowns are on cooldown all the time. See, a lot of characters have moves with cooldowns, and these are normally your best moves. So you want to make sure that you're always using your best moves. Now, I'll give you a few examples. And a move like Taz's Tornado is on a cooldown. You've got Batman's Batarangs on a cooldown. Arya's Dagger, Harley's Box and Teddy Bear, you know. LeBron has a lot of cooldowns, Wonder Woman's Lasso, and these moves always seem to be your best moves, and you want to use them as much as possible, and Velma, of course, and Tom and Jerry and Bugs, of course. See, because the devs are going to be balancing a lot of this game based on the cooldowns. So if they're going to be expecting the people to use as many cooldowns as possible, right? So they're going to say your character has a 10-second cooldown on their ability. They're going to expect you to use that every 10 seconds, and they're going to balance you around that by increasing and decreasing cooldowns. So if a move is strong, it will be on a longer cooldown. If a move is worse, it either won't have a cooldown or will have a shorter cooldown. So that's how, and that's why you really should be using it. Characters like Velma really relies on this, as you should always be having almost all your kit on cooldown. Anyway, let's get into tip number 2. Tip number 2 might be for newer players or players not into fighting games too much, and this is use your character's strengths and avoid your weaknesses at all costs. Now, let me go through one of the character's strengths. Tom and Jerry and Bugs Bunny both like fighting at range, and so does Velma. So you don't want to be fighting up close all the time, you want to be keeping your distance and keeping your space. Harley doesn't like fighting on the ground, and doesn't like being above her enemy, but likes her enemy being above her, so try and get them above her. And I've got many for this, and normally this correlates to your character's type. So obviously you can have a mage, but it might be you're a vertical or a horizontal or a hybrid, and that is normally where you want to be, on that kind of plane. A character like Superman loves to fight in the air, and that's why he's a hybrid, because he likes to fight in the air but when they're above you or next to you, because he has really good kit. And a character like Harley always wants you to be below you, juggling you and comboing you. And then a character like Finn always wants to take you to the air and kill you off the top. So as you can see, this really, you have to play to your character's strengths, and you have to know and identify what your character's strengths are. On to tip 3. Tip 3 might be a bit of a weird tip, but it will really help you win more of your games. Tip 3 is take a break. If you're angry or you've lost a lot of games in a row, take a break. Reset. It can only be for 5 minutes if you want it. Just make sure the game is closed, and you go watch a YouTube video, you go do what you want for 5 minutes, and then you come back, and this will help you win more games than all the other tips combined, because when you're angry, you can't play as well as you normally can, and it leads to losses. And this is a big thing in gaming. If you're tilted ever, you're going to be playing worse. And in a fighting game like this, anger is your worst enemy, because you start running in and getting reckless. And a kind of segue onto another point is, well, within the same tip, is if someone's taunting you or teabagging you, you need to make sure you don't care. You know, you when the game is done, you're allowed to be angry and stop. But as you're playing, you've got to try and keep your head on and stay cool, which I know I struggle with, we all struggle with at times, but taking a break is so important. The next tip is making sure you know your character's combos, strong moves and weak moves. Watching a single guide, I have a guide for most of the characters, bit of a plug there, but there's many other YouTubers and many other guides for all the characters. Knowing your strong moves and your weak moves is very good, because some moves you just are just not as good as others and you just don't want to use as much as others. And knowing your kill combos and your character in depth is so important. Kill combos are the most important thing in this entire game, because you can do 500 damage. You can do as much damage as you want. If they don't get wrung out twice, if they don't die twice, then you lose. Whereas if you kill early, you can do 100 damage and you win. So know your character's kill moves, early kill moves, where they kill from, and what percentage they kill, and kill combos to make sure you win those games and don't have those frustrating games where they're just straggling at a high percentage for so long. This is a tip which is really going to help you win more games, but it's picking 2 characters out of the cast to main. You see, you need to have a main and a secondary, and if you really want to improve, you really want to focus on that main. So, for example, say you are a Superman player. You want to maybe play Superman and then pick a character maybe similar but with different matchups, maybe like Garnet or Wonder Woman, because she's a tank as well, and you play both of them to like a reasonable amount of knowledge, so you know, and then you focus on Superman. Don't go flexing around picking all these characters. It's fun at the start to know what all the characters do, but make sure you find that main if you really want to win, and you play them until you're really good at them and you know them in and out. And I am not following by my own rules here, because I do not really have a true main other than Arya. I don't have a true secondary. But that's because I'm making content for you guys, so I got to play all the characters. But if you're not, then make sure just get one main and work very hard on them. Tip number 7 is something that's not talked about in fighting game much, but is neutral game. You see, neutral game is who gets the first hit and starts the combos, and a lot of parrying. So this is what is basically very important for a good neutral game is movement. Learning good movement, I'll have a movement guide coming out soon, so make sure to sub for that. But learning good movement is the key to winning games. People talk about combos and strings and kill options, very important. But if you can't land that first hit to get them in the combos, you're going to lose. You'll notice that very good players space perfectly just out of range of their opponent, and as this game gets more developed, you're going to play against more characters and know their ranges. But for now, focus on your own character's ranges. If you're playing a character like Velma, why would you get close? Like I said, it's all about spacing. If you've got a sword like Finn, you want to make sure to stay at the tip of that sword. You don't want to let them get in, because if they're a hand-to-hand character, you want to make sure they can't hit you and you can hit them. Same with your projectiles, know the range of all of them. Same with all of your moves, pretty much. Know the exact range of all of them and where you have to be to hit them, and then use your movement to get around their attacks and hit yours. A very big tip, but isn't really talked about much, is knowing why you lose each game. Every time you lose, don't be angry, don't just queue into another game. Just think for 10 seconds maybe, why did I lose this game? What caused me to lose this game? And if you keep saying, oh, I got cheesed, you know, I got cheesed, blah blah blah, it was just luck, then you're not going to improve as a player. You need to know, I lost this game because I did this wrong. And then you just don't do it wrong. And if you keep doing it wrong, then you practice it more and more. And eventually, you'll get to such a level where you're making less mistakes, and less mistakes lead to more wins. Tip number 9 is more of a basic tip, which you guys won't be looking at much. Or you already know exactly about it. Look at your dodge meter, because your dodge meter is very important in this game. Under your character, you've got a little dodge meter. You want to keep this very high and topped up, because you have less iframes the lower your dodge meter, and when you get to 0, it's very risky. And this is also a good indication of if you're playing the game right. If you're running away too much and dodging around too much, you'll have a low dodge meter. If it's always full, you're not dodging enough. You want to always have it just above half, and that will help you become a better player. You'll notice all pros do the same thing. And technically it's going to be 11, because the last tip is just one I'm not going to add as a tip, because it's very cheesy and you hear it in all of them. But Number 10 is know all the mechanics of the game. Know jumping off walls, resetting your jumps, how to DI, which is inputting so you fly a different direction. There's guides on that. Know how to get out of combos by DIing. Know that you get 2 jumps, 2 dodges and 2 specials in the air. Knowing what's all your moves do. All the stuff like that, which is to do the game dodge mechanics, spot dodge mechanics. You need armor cancelling, charge cancelling, dodge cancelling in combos, special cancelling in combos. You need to learn all of that, and that information is available all over Reddit, all over advanced guides, and you can find that easily. And then the last one, technically 11th, is play the game. You will win more if you play the game more, because you will be better. Play the game. If you look at all of the pros, the one thing that they've done different to you, or all the high rank players, is play the game more. All of them will have hundreds and thousands of hours in this game, probably more than you do, most likely more than you do, and that is why they're better. One of the reasons why they're better. All these will help you win more games, but if you're simply not playing as much, you're not gonna be as good as a player as you could be. You know, 200 hours will always be better than 100. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, I would really like your input on what videos I should make next, what guides I should make next, anything really. And I would like to wish you a good day. I hope you're having a good day. And if you would please subscribe to me, that would mean a lot. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Peace.